Hello, welcome to today's video. Today we're drawing MySims Kingdom fan art, which is a game, it's quite an older game by now. It was first introduced on the Wii, so maybe you might have also played it when you were younger. I'm really not sure how big of a game it was, but it was one of my favorite games growing up, and today I thought let's do a sketchbook because I've wanted to draw these characters forever, and now's about the right time. But quickly before we get started, fair warning, sorry about the band-aid on my hand. I was playing with my cat. By playing, I mean literally just patting her, and she was very vicious out of nowhere. It made no sense, but we did figure a way to get rid of that pent-up rage by playing with her. She's a she's only been an inside cat for like a year, so she's got a lot of energy that she doesn't know how to get rid of. We're working on it, but yes, sorry about the band-aid, it's not the nicest thing to look at. The scratch itself might also make its way into the video later, so if, I don't know, you're sensitive to scratches, it's literally just a cat scratch, but just in case, I thought I'd mention it. Also, I know I've been away for a hot minute. It was literally me working on this video the whole time. I kept procrastinating a lot. It's been bad, but it's finally coming out. Sorry that it took so long. It'll probably be another 2 weeks is what I aim for, but will probably end up being 3 weeks again before the next video, which I'm currently planning to be a sketchbook tour, so that should be all easy. Hope you look forward to it if you enjoy sketchbook tours. I know they're certainly some of my favorite videos to watch. To make is also pretty fun, but I haven't really figured out the best way to film. Anywho, onto the actual video. I started off with doing a couple doodles of all the characters I wanted to draw for this video. They're each either my favorite designs or favorite characters from the game. So the top two are Princess Butter and Violet, and these sketches were very, very stiff, and I hated them the second I drew them, which sounds harsh. It is harsh, but I had recently drawn these in my previous sketchbook as well, and they came out so nice. I'll either show them here or at the end of the video, probably at the end of the video to be honest, but I was so unhappy with these sketches. But to be fair, I haven't been warming up and I haven't been sketching for ages, and yeah, this is what happens when you don't do warm-ups. Lindsay turned out great. I love the way she came out, and this last character here is my own character. At the beginning of the game, you design a character from quick selection menu, and this is the version of the character I've been using for my most recent playthrough. But to go back a couple of steps, what is MySims Kingdom? Basically, the Sims franchise, you've undoubtedly heard of it, it's The Sims. They decided to make a kid's version, so they created something called MySims, where you're kind of building your own village, and you slowly invite villagers and build little houses for them. And it's very fun, very cute. I didn't play the original MySims till much later, because the first game we got for the Wii, other than Wii Sports, was MySims Kingdom. And the Kingdom version of this game basically takes all the popular characters from the original MySims game and gives them their own countries and places, and you make your own character that travels the world and meets and helps these other characters. It's very cute, very fun. And the story kind of starts where you enter this competition to become a Wandolier. A Wandolier is a person who uses this wand to enter build mode, and that's how you help people. It's very cute. And so I've always been very fond of this game. It's until very recently the only game I'd ever finished, which is an ADHD thing. It's great. But if you're curious about what the other game I finished was, it's Overcooked. These are the only two games I've finished in my life. I hate it. But anyway, moving along. It must have been pretty popular in MySims at least, because they made quite a few games. Not too many. I think there's 5 or something. And there's a spy game and a racing game, and it's okay. I never played any of the others besides MySims Kingdom and MySims. But I couldn't really get into the original MySims game because my Wii could not run it after the first section of the game. It just could not manage it. So we gave up. We just didn't push it any further after that. So obviously MySims Kingdom became the nostalgia game for us. And by us, I mean me and my brother. He's just as nostalgic for this game as I am. And we always played it. It's like a single player game, but we kind of like used to watch each other play it. We've both done multiple playthroughs so many times. The amount of times I've played the first 3 specific like levels of this game is ridiculous. I can't believe it. And I should mention, I don't know if I would actually recommend the game. It's really, really simple. I don't think it's something that adults could go into without the nostalgia and be that impressed by it. It's still fun, it's still cute. Like if you're looking for a very chill time from like a young kids game, like worth playing. It's great, but also like when my love for it is mostly nostalgia, and I am replaying it and I do get bored very quickly because well, again, it's a mix of the nostalgia of what I like about it, but I also have memorized this game so much that there's not much new in replaying it. But to get to the characters that I'm drawing, basically, like I said, the character you build yourself, I ended up drawing her. I drew her as I would like my most recent playthrough because she's a bit more like unique compared to the one I used to do when I was a kid, which is basically I would model my character as closely to Violet as I could possibly manage for as quickly as I could in the game. And as you progress through the game, you unlock characters' outfits. So by the end of the game, I literally look exactly like her. But in my most recent playthrough, I decided like, let's model her after, well, not me, but a little bit like me, but also like, let's go full cringe. So she's got the little fangs and the little cat whiskers because I just don't care. It's too much fun. And I gave her like a brown little plait because I think it's so cute. And I had so much fun drawing that. I didn't realize how much I love drawing like plaits. I find it hard, but like, I don't know. They're so, I love them. It's like peak character design. It's a giant plait. Love it. I also gave this current version of the character the same dress I always wore as a kid. I always wore the same exact outfit. And I will get a picture up like of how she looked when I was younger and how she looks now because she's just so cute. I always love that dress. I just think it's adorable. And I had a lot of fun actually drawing it for the first time because, again, peak indulgence. The character next to mine in the front, Lindsay, she is one of the 2 characters that journey the world with you. The other character is Buddy, who I opted not to draw, not because he isn't like an iconic king and not because I don't love him, but simply because I just wanted to prioritize the characters I really wanted to draw. But I do love Buddy, he's great. But Lindsay is absolute favorite. Another one of the characters, like I had a crush on pretty much all of these characters as a kid. Not that I knew it yet, but it wasn't hard to like look back and be like, oh, yeah. And Lindsay's got like this cute like sailor aesthetic, and I'm such a sucker for that, I'm not gonna lie. Not to mention, like she's an absolute like, oh, she's so gorgeous. Cause like she helps you with the game and she's like the serious one, you know, she keeps you all on track. Cause Buddy's like the goofy one that, you know, he falls over and he's always after fun and food. Like we love him. But Lindsay's like, come on, let's stay focused and get on with it. And I don't know, she's sweet. It's again a kid's game. It's like bare bones character development, but again, she had a wicked design, loved her character, she's so cool. Up in the top with the little princess, I don't even know what to call that, like hat thing. It's like pointy. Oh man, I need to learn what that's called. But that's Princess Butter. She's mean. She's just mean and pretty, and I'm not gonna lie, kind of my type. There's a reason I always pick Haley for my love interest in Stardew Valley, right? I love her. But Princess Butter, she's like, she starts off as this rival because you compete against her in the Wandolier competition, right? And you have to like be friends pretty soon after that. But the reason why I wanted to draw her is because she has such a good design. It's like pretty simple, but it's very memorable. And that's one thing that really sticks out to me about the MySims Kingdom or MySims franchise. Their designs are so memorable and iconic and just stand out really well. And I'm just like, I would not have expected that from this game. I really love it. It's one big aspect of the game I just adore. And Princess Butter is also the character that I always drew when I was a kid. You'd think I'd have drawn Violet. I don't know why I never drew Violet. But yeah, Princess Butter, she has like the pink hair and the pretty flower dress. I'm obviously going to show a picture of her. And so I drew her twice as a kid, and I found those drawings. I won't show them here because they're like my childhood drawings. I might at some point, but not yet. It was a recent discovery to re-find those, and it's been really nice. But I knew I had to redraw her because I'm just like, she's the only one I drew when I was a kid. Obviously, I have to like redraw her. And again, I don't actually like the two drawings I did of her. Like the one in this sketch here is like good, like it's fine. But I drew her not longer, and it came out in a way that I was like much more happy with. So again, I'll show that at some point in this video. Lastly, I drew Violet, who is in the top corner with the like batwing headpiece. My god, I loved her when I was a kid. Like I said, I always modeled my character after her. She was the resident goth girl, and let me tell you, goth girls, my absolute thing when I was a kid, because it was like the 2000s, right? Like the late 2000s. Everyone's like edgy and emo, and then there's like goth and whatever. It was a big thing, and I read like things like My Sister the Vampire. I had a big crush on Ivy, and I'm trying to think of other goth franchises. Not goth franchises, my god. But like Monster High, obviously, that's something I still love today, but that was a big reason I love Monster High. It was just like, it was that time period. And I'm not sure if this was like a universal thing, but like at that time, if you went to like primary school in the late 2000s, and like early 2010s, there was like a bunch of library books that had that sort of thing. Like there was like a bunch of girls' chapter books that had like, you know, a vampire girl or just a goth girl with like an edgy story, because that was like a big thing. And I read a bunch of those because I was into it. Maybe I should do a My Sister the Vampire like sketch with me at some point as well. I don't know. These are probably not going to be popular at all, but you know, whatever. But yeah, Violet was going to be an easy choice for me as a kid because like it was just my thing at the time. I loved it. Not to mention, like, again, her design was so good for this game. She had a different design in every game. I'll show a couple of them. I'm actually not that big a fan, especially with the spy one. Like, her dress isn't as fun. I don't know. But in this game in particular, like, her dress was gorgeous, her headpiece, her hair. Yes. And she was always, like, such a sweet character. And I don't know. She was, yeah. My original plan for this video was actually just to do sketches and things, because I think that would have been better for like me actually getting through with it. But at some point I decided, oh no, we're gonna do like a Copic final, and that kind of contributed to how much I procrastinated this, because once I made the decision I was like, I want to do this, but it meant I put it off for ages. And while I was putting it off, I was like, oh, just stop being silly, just go back to sketching. But I didn't want to by then. I was like, nah, we're doing it. So that was silly. I don't think I'll do that again. I kind of want to stick with like actual sketches if I'm going to do sketch with me's. And then I could do like Copic finals for like their own video, I guess. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. But I did have a lot of trouble with the sketch. Like, I had so much trouble getting Lindsay's face right, and then I couldn't get her hair right, and I'm like, why am I having so much trouble with just Lindsay? Like, on the previous page, I loved the way her sketch came out. It came out so well, but I guess it's because, like, I wanted it to come out that well again, and the way her hair is, like, the spiky, like, ponytail, is kind of like the same problem I have with drawing, like, shonen protagonists, right? I struggle so much with the spiky hair because I love drawing, like, whippy hair. That's not a real word, I know, but like hair that like flows, and like you can do that with most hairstyles, but spiky, it just doesn't really work. And I really want to practice it more because like spiky hairstyles are really, really cute, and like I like the results of them when they come out well, but I was struggling so much with Lindsay's, and in the end I think I got it to a point where I like it, but it still wasn't like the sketch I did on the previous page, which I really wanted. I also had a lot of trouble with Princess Butter's face. I wanted her like rolling her eyes, but in the end that's not really what it looks like she's doing. She's kind of just like, she's got an exasperated look, but not quite the look I was going for, which is fine because it still works. But I think I always say this, is like I've got a million things to work on all at the same time, and I just don't. I keep not doing it. But I did have a lot of fun using the markers because I absolutely adore using markers. I find it hard because I have so much trouble with like the final sketches, like, or sketches for finals. There's so much pressure around, like I put so much pressure on myself around that, and it's silly. And I don't really know how to like avoid that because it's very rare if I have a sketch I like that I'll turn it into something that's like a final in my mind, because usually I'm too happy with the sketch, I'm worried about ruining it. And I have ruined sketches like that before, so it's, you know, it's a valid concern. It's not one that's like based on like it's like, no, it's actually happened. But I want to use my markers more. Like, I love drawing with markers so much. It's so easy but fun, and I spend a lot of money on markers, so it's like, because again, I like using them. I want to use them more. So I think I'm gonna try and be a bit less careful, like try and get over that, you know, if I'm gonna use markers, it has to be a final. Like, I can draw over pen, I can just replace the nibs. I know that's like costly, but it's gonna be worth it if I actually use the markers properly. Sometimes it's just better to pay the ADHD tax in advance or behind and be aware that that's what I'm gonna be doing, because it's better than spending the amount of money I spend on markers and then just never using the markers. I know that's like a common discussion topic on ArtTube and Art Twitter, because people talk about like the spending that comes with markers and how it's such a popularized medium, and it encouraged a lot of people to buy them when it's not necessarily going to be a medium for them, or like be something that's worth the amount of money for a lot of people, which is completely fair. Like, I'm 100% behind that. I knew this would be a medium I like, and it is. I just need to find a way that's more user-friendly for myself. I also realized I just threw on the term ADHD tax without explaining it at all, and I had no idea what it meant until like a few months ago, so I should probably explain it. It's like basically when you have ADHD, there are some things you end up having to pay more for like as a tax because of ADHD. So like when you buy a bunch of fruit, because you're trying to encourage yourself to eat more fruit and eat less sugar. I know fruit contains sugar, that's besides the point. But and it all ends up going off and you didn't eat any of it. That's like kind of like the ADHD tax. Sometimes it's just worth it to pay more before and get, I don't know, like fruit that'll last longer or like a different thing. Again, it's like a new concept to me. I don't have like the best examples of explaining it, but it's an interesting thing that I've like been learning about. And I've been learning about like how to work around it better. That's also a lot of things. Like, I've been looking into a lot of like workarounds for the way my brain works, and it's been very interesting and not at all what I was planning on talking about today. So I'm going to move along again and apologize for the amount of times my head pokes in this video. I literally zoomed in so much to avoid my head just being in the middle of the shot because I had no idea that that was happening while I was filming, and it was like I should have just watched at least one of the videos to make sure that wasn't happening, but I didn't. And yeah, I apologize. I also realized very, very late that I hadn't drawn in Lindsay's hand. I did not notice because it was around my character's shoulder, and I'm like, I just didn't have any idea. And it took until that moment where I'd coloured in most of the thing to even notice that it wasn't coloured in. I was like, oh, okay. And I'd also forgotten which marker I'd used for a skin tone. I have two markers that were similar, but by then I'd already shaded Lindsay's skin in, and I was like, I don't know which one I used for the shading. Is this the flat I used, and then I used another shading on top? I don't know. But I think I got the right color. I would recommend like writing down which markers you use, but I don't. I can't be bothered. I never do it. Speaking of colors though, one thing I was trying to figure out was like because there's 3 of the characters in this video have very light-skinned white characters, right? So I was like, how do I want to differentiate their skin tone? And I did, I wanted to. So I was like, how am I going to do it? Because again, they still look the exact same. And I don't have a lot of markers for different white skin tones because, yeah, you don't usually need them that many. So I decided to focus, I drew my character the way I normally draw my skin. So that was easy and fine. With Violet, I decided to just use the same marker for shading. Because she's a goth character, right? I wanted her to be quite pale. So I figured if I don't shade her skin with anything but the same color that I've already used, she'll come across as pale. I don't think it worked as much as I would have hoped, but I think it did like work a bit. That was my motivation behind that. And with Princess Butter, I decided to do like a lot of blush shading. So I used like the color I used for her blush as like her shading color. But she eventually did get too pink, so I was like, okay, we'll do the slight shading color and then go back over with the blush, and I think that worked in the end. Quite happy with that. And then with Violet, I realized I didn't want to use the black marker because it's like, it'll just cover up all the lines. It's very thick. It's not very dynamic. And it tends to flatten the like colors. But I didn't have a grey that was dark enough to pretend it was black. So I decided to use my really dark brown raw umber from the Ohuhu pack I have, and then go over that with my darkest grey. And it worked, kind of, but like it was very saturated with ink. So it still looks quite brown because again, it was like a cool grey I was using to do the grey lighter parts of her dress. And so it didn't quite match up, but I also had no idea at the time that there were Copic markers that weren't just warm grey and cool grey. There weren't just those 2 options. There's also tone grey and neutral grey, which I very quickly acquired because I was shopping out for fun the other day, coincidentally not long after this video. And I'm so excited to use them because, look, I love grey so much for like using in drawings, and I just grabbed a bunch of them. Very excited to use neutral grey. I think it looks really nice. Anyway, we're coming up to the end of the video. I had already forgotten. I actually slowed down the footage from the last few bits. I decided to darken up some of the shading on Lindsay's shirt. But I hope you have enjoyed. Please let me know if you've played MySims Kingdom or any of the MySims games, if it's something you were into when you grew up. Chef Gino, best boy, right? Like, everyone agrees. Thank you, appreciate it. And did you like any of the specific characters? Who's your favorite character? Also, if you have any nostalgic games that you were super into as a kid, also let me know. I'm curious because it's such a fun thing. Everyone seems to be having a nostalgia phase, which I love because I'm going through a nostalgia phase, obviously. But I kind of had been the whole time. It's something I tend to cycle back to very, very often. And something I like to base my art and creativity on. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. These are the final drawings, including the sketches I keep mentioning in this video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!